All right, we are live again, people. So, first and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Punch Boy. My government is Rashawn, but nobody really needs to know that. Mix Series Studios. I am the chief sound engineer here. Also a producer. I do mix and mastering. I am the magic behind the keys, and I have one of the dopest artists that I have heard in a very long time. My man here sitting to my right, his name is Oddity. Um, my man is ill. Like he actually inquired about the studio space. We gave him a tour. We chopped it up for a little bit, started talking about his potential projects and what he's looking for. And then from there, he played his tracks, and I was dumbfounded. Like completely dumbfounded by the quality and the skills, and the verbal commitment he brings to every single song, and the emotion, So, without further ado, man, this is Oddity. I want you to kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been doing music for about 12 years. Seriously, in that realm, about 3 to 4 years as far as putting money behind myself. Um, I've been doing it since college. Uh, it was more so a hobby and like an outlet. And the longer I did it, I just saw that paying off, and just people around me saying like, you need to pursue this. Um, and just a lot of life experiences told some deaths of family members, some um, just traveling the world. I just realized like this is what I really want to do.
What's your future kind of motivation for telling your story?
I think most artists kind of want to tell their the, initially their origins, and want the world to connect with where they're from and then their journey. So um, I'm no different in that aspect. I want to bring Indianapolis to the world, and there really hasn't been too many hip hop artists from Indianapolis on a big scale.
Cool. So what you got lined up, man? Like, tell the people, just let them know, like, where they can hear your music, your songs is out there, so they can go ahead and follow you or anything like that.
Yeah, I moved to Jacksonville about a year and a half ago, and I actually released an album in the midst of the pandemic called Impaired Vision. So that's out on all major streaming platforms, YouTube as well. There's 4 music videos we shot on YouTube for those songs. Um, and then as of this year, we are releasing a song every 2 Fridays through May. Um, so far we've released 2. This coming Friday there'll be the third one, um, and then I've got on one of those singles a pretty big feature. Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, you guys heard it first. Oddity, go ahead, spell it out for him, bro.
Yeah, it's all caps ODDITY, and there's periods between each. It kind of looks like an acronym. I get asked a lot, what does it mean? It's more aesthetically pleasing. It's just the brand. You can find me on Instagram at oddity underscore third 3RD. Same with Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere. So.
Dope, dope, dope. Hey, listen, man, I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for supporting us and showing how we put together a music video. I'm pumped, man. I'm excited for you. Suck it. We're gonna like
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
absolutely. All right. Cool. Enjoy the rest of the party, brother. Yeah. we got Josh here. Not on yet. Great. Okay. Let me know when to hit the 1, 2, 3. This is totally random and live, by the way. The mic's real. I'm gonna hand it to you.
I need a Lost Medium logo on my mic.
That is true. You should have bought it.
If I'm not Lost Media up and
I mean, yeah, if you can't tell. All right, guys. All right. So listen, we got what I call one of the most iconic, one of the most underrated, one of the best videographers, and I've worked with a lot. Actually, check my resume, you'll see. Videographers in the game. I don't even consider you a videographer anymore. I kind of consider you like my mogul, you know?
Spaceman.
Spaceman, yeah, like astronaut style. You know, this is Josh from Lost Media, man. Let me hand this mic over to you real quick. So, Josh, tell us about yourself, man. Tell us about the company.
Whew. So I own and operate Lost Media. Ironic story about how I actually got into FilmWorks. I want to be a YouTuber, you know, like everyone else. They're always like, I'm going to be the next Mr. Beast. I built a driving simulator.
Okay.
It had a 900-degree steering, clutch brake gas, 6-speed shifter. And at the time I was broke to the point that my wife was asking, like, what are you doing buying this stuff?
Right.
Now it's our business, by the way. But,
that's the only way she would approve you buying
well,
stuff, huh?
I mean, my wife is now my photographer, so we're in business.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
Shouts out to Kim. She's
Yes.
phenomenal.
So now we're partnered, which is awesome because when you have a partner that you partner with, it's kind of a double whammy, which is pretty cool.
That's right.
But I had the driving simulator, and I was like, you know what? I love this, and I think that my friends would like it, so let me buy a webcam. And then a couple months later, realized that nobody liked it. Nobody cared.
Wow.
So
Sounds like a waste of time.
no, because it got me into FilmWorks. I was selling cars at the time. And on my
Wow.
best month, I sold 6 cars,
I
which,
could see you as a car salesman, sort of.
well, I'm not a good one.
Yeah. I'm not really sure if I'd be upset dealing with you or, you know what, I'd probably be satisfied because
Well-
my mentality is pretty much like yours.
My problem was, and I had someone the other day actually mention this to me, but my problem was knowing that, say we bought a car for like $15,000 and we were
Right.
selling it for 25.
Right.
It was like, I felt bad.
Right.
I felt like,
see.
dang, I'm really screwing this person.
Right.
And so I would always come out the gate with like the best deal I could. And if I walk out to you with a $25,000 car that I already knocked down to $20,000, you're thinking, crap, there must be a lot more.
Right.
So then I ain't got no more wiggle room, and they're like, all right, I'm out, peace. But I was broke, like, had that one good month of 6 cars, and then they told me that I still owed the back pay for what they were paying me before, and I was like, I quit. But so I had no money.
Right.
Actually, that was the time that my wife had to pay my car payment.
Wow.
And when I started, I bought a camera. You know, I really thought I was going to go from like 0 subscribers to like 10 million in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But
What we all think. Right.
then I got my first little crappy camera. It was a Nikon D3500. That camera filmed 1080p at 30 frames a second, which is trash. My
Okay.
camera
I
now.
said, wow, I thought that was dope, but
No, my camera.
logo said it's trash.
The camera I shot on the other day, it's Sony. Shout out to Sony.
Hey.
A7S III, it shoots 4K at 120 frames a second in 10-bit color, which I know I'm speaking like foreign language, but
Swahili. Not to my man right here.
oh yeah,
but,
no,
you
he
know,
understands.
You know, Dante,
He's a cameraman.
Shouts to Dante, man. He's dope.
Like your shirt, by the way,
I don't wanna get
Wu-Tang
too
Clan.
involved with Dante yet. You know, we're gonna get to him. Don't worry.
So, took that original crap camera, shot a music video for free, and the only thing I've ever shot for free, because I do not believe in ever giving away free time. I'll trade you for something. Like,
That's right.
I started out working with businesses where I would trade, like I had a massage therapist where I'd trade her a massage for me and my wife for a commercial.
There you go.
I traded a dude to paint something for me for a commercial. I just don't believe in giving away things for free because time is
same equal value.
time's not free.
That's right.
Time's the most non-renewable resource you'll ever have.
That's right.
Once it's gone, you don't get it back.
That's right.
So I guess you could say I got tired of selling my life for 15, 16, 17, 20 bucks an hour.
Okay. Sure.
Because I realized that there was I could sit there and work 10 times as hard
Mm.
and still get paid the same.
Right.
So then that kind of screwed me because I started working half as hard. Work hard enough just to not get fired, and then
That's
they pay
right.
you just enough so you don't quit.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works usually.
Cameraman agrees.
Like I can relate to that.
So
Okay.
afterwards, I started building my brand, which if you would have told me, and by the way, I got my first camera 2 years ago. If you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be paying all my bills from videography,
Right.
I would have told you, is this like rated G or can I cuss?
I'm pretty. We should rate it G.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would tell you you're freaking crazy.
Freaking crazy. Gotcha. Love it. Love the terminology, man. Love it. So what's your project looking like today? Like what do you have in the works right now?
So
where can people find you?
all right, so I do have a YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it's under Lost Mentality,
Okay.
which I literally came up with when I was at my job. Felt like I was losing my mind, so I came up with Lost Mentality.
That's okay. It's a branding thing at this point.
And then I dropped the mentality so business didn't think I was crazy.
Right.
So now it's just Lost Media.
Right.
But I got a website. It's lostmediasolutions.com.
Awesome.
Reason why is because Lost Media was like $6,000.
Awesome.
Someone stole the URL trying
Right.
to resell it.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
But right now I am in the process of signing the paperwork to get a studio location. It's 4,000 square feet. It's over off of Edgewood. We're trying to really build the community and do things that no one else is doing here. Because if everything I learned off of YouTube,
Okay.
and I feel as if I can learn stuff off YouTube, I can teach it to someone.
Yeah.
And a rising tide raises all boats.
Right.
So
That's
I want to help other people to be able to build their skill as well.
Love it, man. I love it.
just now that I'm getting to where my bills are paid from this,
Why not spread that love and grow?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, build an empire. Well, listen, Josh, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Again, this guy here is the guy to go to. Lost Media in the building. As long as you contact me first for the music, Josh will hook you up with the video. If not, don't even go to his website. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Phenomenal dude. Check him out, guys. Pump that you're here, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Pump what? Oh, pump that I'm here.
Pump it.
Man, I'm 80% deaf.
Man, give me the mic. Man,
What?
Go, Josh. Go. Bye. Bye. See you later.
Bye, Felicia.
Florida. I'm here with Isaac Morasco. And even though we went over that 100 times, we are live, so this is raw as well. With Morasco Creatives. Tell us about yourself.
I'm just a little Brazilian boy that likes to get creative. Pretty simple. Do a lot of video work. started in audio engineering, but made my way through just doing a ton of video work.
Yeah, you've been working on some stuff for us. You did some amazing captures at our first pop-up studio, podcast studio that we did at last year's music festival in Jacksonville Beach, and you captured that event as well as some drone footage. Amazing, amazing drone footage of Jacksonville, Florida. Um, when you were capturing these ideas, I know that we changed a few things on you, but you were able to pivot immediately to try to capture everything with us. Can you tell me about some of the systems that you were using besides the drone and what you were doing, what kind of cameras and stuff? I know that this is kind of on the technical side, but I want people to understand that when we have these conversations with industry professionals, that we are actually touching base on some of those things.
Yeah, so basically what we've been using, what I've been using has been a camera called the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. It's a camera that can shoot B-RAW, which is a really high codec. It can shoot in ProRes, which is also a really high codec. Frame rates up to 60 frames per second at 4K, 6K. And then I also use a APS-C sensor camera, an A6600. And it's basically an APS-C camera, but it works really well like all the other full frame cameras do. So it does really good. I mean, the work speaks for itself. And then when it comes to the drone, I use a Mavic Mini 2, and it's a consumer-friendly drone, but it shoots in 4K up to 30 frames per second, and it gets the job done. I have no complaints. All my clients love it. I mean, yeah, you guys seem to love it too. So.
No, no, we did. I mean, you put the actual introduction to our studio, kind of a preview, kind of a marketing tool commercial. I mean, you can call it a variety of things, and it's up on MTSJAX.fm and also on Mix Theory Studios. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely check this out on MixTheoryStudios.com. He basically put all these different. He took our ideas and really put it together and went above and beyond with everything that you've done. So we want to thank you for being part of this and part of this grand opening as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
If they need to contact you, where can they find you? Where can they find your work? Or is there a contact information for Facebook or anything like that in your social media?
Yeah, it's just my name. It's Isaac with a Q, Moresco. So not with the, it's Isaac Moresco. You can all social media platforms, and then isaacmoresco.com.
Excellent. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us, Isaac. Again, appreciate you for being here and appreciate all the hard work that you've done. You've done amazing work, and I'm sure that we're going to continue to see you here in the Mix Theory Studios. Thank you. There's a delay, so we should be good. Good? All right.
doing? My name is Lakeisha Willis, aka Cappuccino, also known as DJ Cap, and we're in Mixed Theory Studios in Jacksonville, other known as Duval, Jacksonville, Florida. So we're just here to me and Josh. What Josh, you can tell them who you are first.
Hey, I'm Josh Cuellar. I'm one of the freelancers here at Mixed Theory Studios. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about making the music for Juxtaposed. So I made the music for season 2, which hasn't necessarily been released yet. And Keisha, made the music for season 1 with DJ PM and Punch Boy.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, it was dope because I was at home and I came to the studio and I was like, listen, this is what I want to hear. It was an old 1980s theme song from HBO. So I let him know, I said, I want to have that feeling so it can be more like a dramatic effect, but then just end like in a straight hip-hop tune. So it started like, dun, 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 dun. So as soon as I told them that, they came up with like a riff. Then we came up with a bass line, and then we came up with like, then we just started adding stuff to it, punching in and punching out, and then that's how we came up with the whole music for the first episode. And then I kind of went home and edited Shannon's voice into it and scratched it in and scratched it out, and that's how it came about. So it was pretty dope. But when they hear yours, you can talk about yours.
So I really enjoyed making mine. Shannon told me we needed to produce the music for it, and I'm a guitarist, and I like to say I'm a pianist too.
Yeah.
I think I am, at least. I had put some things together, come up with a couple ideas, but I hadn't had any really solid direction. And one of my roommates, Mason, he's a music education major and a percussion performance major as well. He's super talented. He knows everything pretty much about music. I brought him in the studio with me. Both of us were a little like nervous walking in. We didn't know exactly what we were gonna do. But we got here. I started playing some licks on guitar, and Rashawn Punch Boy was like, yo, like that's dope. Like like plug it. Let's go. Plug me in. I recorded it, and we had a little and that was cool. Then I came up with a bass line to put on top of that, and then just some simple chords, and my boy Mason helps me out with some of the rhythm and that kind of stuff. And next thing you know, Punch Boy's putting on some drum tracks, and DJ PM's like, oh yo, like do this, do that, and he's changing up the sound and all this kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun though. I didn't really know what to expect walking in the studio, but it came out and it sounded like a great track. And it was a lot of fun.
And the thing about coming into the studio with, like, I came in, I really didn't know what to expect because it's the first time coming in working. When you're working with different people, there's different personalities, so you really don't know what to expect. But they were so like, this is your project. This is all in your hands. You just tell us what you need to do. So that's the thing about working with them. And if anybody was coming to the studio, like, they would definitely work with you, give you the sound that you want, and actually, I'm not gonna say improve you, but they would actually help to motivate you and give you some more inspiration on what you need to do. Because working with them, it was like amazing. Like, I can tell you, DJ PM and Punch Boy, that's some of the dopest producers that I've worked with. And I've worked with a lot of producers, man. For real. And yo, this dude right here, the song was so dope. I actually thought it was a custom thing out of Logic or something. Yeah, for real.
Yo, so like to even like elaborate on that, they told me the same thing. It's whatever you want it to be, and I was like, I don't know what I want.
Right.
But it was a really cool thing because when we got here, without the collaboration of all four of us in the studio, I don't think the beat would have been what it was. Like as much as like I had this direction and this major influence on the sound, and at the end of the day, it was something that we all put in together. Right. So it was like it was most definitely a collaboration, even though it was I may have put down that first lick or two,
right.
which was really dope.
That's the good thing about being here. Like, it's so versatile. Like, they want you to collaborate, and the good thing about coming to Mixed Theory Studios is a collaboration of people. Like, the music, the podcast, the videos, everybody's collaborating. It's versatile. It's everything. So I know that this is gonna be something amazing. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
I think if we're wrapping it up. The best thing about Mixed Theory Studios is the community that we got here, and the community that we're trying to build and expand off of.
Right.
Jacksonville is definitely a great place for talent and culture. But Mixed Theory Studios definitely been doing a great job in terms of finding people that are local here and reaching out to them and expanding on that community that already exists, and also creating a new one at the same time.
Right, cool. I'm with you. 13.
Sign off.
Well, it's the same concept. If you go off axis like that, you're not gonna hear. Hey, my name is Jeff Aldrich, and we're the Collective Perspective Podcast. This is DJ Malone and Travis Eden, my co-hosts. What we're focusing on is pushing aside political tribes and biases, and trying to come up with a common solution that we can all compromise with. Diversity is the name of the game. I came up with this concept of this podcast during the pandemic, and because I kind of felt like the news media was turning us against each other, and there was nowhere for anybody to go. And we all collectively feel that if you listen to our podcast, maybe your perspective will change. I know my life has changed. So let me hand the mic over to Travis Edens. We're not passing the secret off, but it's his turn to talk.
As Jeff said, I'm Travis Edens, 1/3 of the Collective Perspective. And like you said, yeah, we've kind of gotten too far apart from each other, especially with the pandemic. It's made everybody isolate from their neighbors even. So our goal is to bring people back together again in their communities. We build up all these networks online, and it kind of just dies there online. You get lost in the mix, and no one's really talking to their neighbors anymore, and that's really important to have a healthy community in your local area. So our goal is to give our perspectives on some of the big topics that are going on today, and if there's a place for a compromise, or if there's a place where we can come together and agree on something, or maybe not agree, as DJ said, that's also something that we're open to. Getting feedback from the listeners is always great. Drop us a message on the pod inbox and let us know what you think, and we'd be more than happy to try to get it on the show, as long as it's nice and clean and family oriented. We don't want we're not name calling, we're not calling anyone out. We just it's not how we come together. And I think I'll let DJ go ahead and give his little perspective.
Yeah, it might be. That's a topic for another
But
day.
he's a big man.
Almost collectively. But you know, it's me, DJ Malone, and I'm 1/3 of the collective perspective. And we all came together, you know, do this podcast because, like both Travis and Jeff said, you know, the news, the media has totally driven us apart. You know, so you know you have everyone that has an opinion that sometimes that they're scared to speak out verbally, or you know, even on social media, just on the fears of what their peers or family members might think. So what we're here for is to provide that common ground, that safe haven where you can actually express yourself how you feel about, you know, an opinion of that's different from your peers and whatnot. So that's what we're here for. And you know, without being disowned. And the thing is, we just want to meet in the middle collectively. And this is the collective perspective.
So we launched last Thursday. We launched 3 episodes and a trailer. We'll be dropping new podcast every Thursday at noon, I believe, and we're on our 4th one. We would like some support if you could, and that you could do that through buy me a coffee /collective pod, and you know, buy us a cup of coffee. I could have had it buy me a beer, but I didn't think it was appropriate. But
I would have said a shot. You know, it could have been apple juice. You know, it could have been
buy me a dance. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong place. Would you buy your friend a dance? Yeah, I guess you could. Because it's bad. If it's on your bucket list, that's true. But you know, we're just going through common things that I'm pretty sure, you know, as for example, you can go to the store and you can see someone with, like, let's say you're a Bernie supporter and he has a Trump hat on. You instantly look at him and go, I hate that guy. But I guarantee you that if you sat next to that guy or stood next to that guy in line long enough and started talking to him, he's just as human as you are. He has his perspective on things. Now there are some people that I think that just you can't change their perspective, and those might just be the older generation. But we're hoping to try to get as many demographics of people as possible, even the youth. We believe that this cause is to help our youth, because right now our world is heading on a crash course, and our kids are going to all have to suffer for it, more on a financial level, or maybe we don't have any money at that point. But not to bring doom and gloom, but how much longer do you want us? I mean, I know we're live, so I don't want to come off rude and say we got to get. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was going to head next, was where to find us. We're on the MTSJAX.fm site. That's thanks to Mixed Theory Studios for producing the podcast for us. They have great studio here and great management. We love them here. You can also find us on Facebook at Collective Perspective, and on Instagram at The Collective Perspective, or TCP Podcast. And I think that's about it. Thank you, and watch our show. Listen.
collectively.
Okay, I'm back with Alex Sanfilippo, who is the founder of Podmatch, Podpros, and PodcastSOP.com. All three. So we brought you in just to talk a little bit about the community of podcasters in Jacksonville. And obviously you have your own podcast. You've had multiple podcasts. So you just started a new one and closed an old one. And you've been building all of these kind of software companies to support podcasts. And you've been also been one of the speakers at multiple podcast conventions across the United States. So what is it like to be in Jacksonville in the podcast community, you know, as we're launching this MTSJAX FM multimedia content platform network for podcasters, for YouTubers? Wanted to get your perspective.
Yeah, sure. So first off, it's funny, when I first started in podcasting, I assumed I was the only podcaster in Jacksonville. Like, that was my honest assumption. I was like, there's nobody else here who podcasts. I went to, I believe my first podcasting conference was actually in Orlando. So I went down to Orlando, and someone had like a little, like a miniature studio set up. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I went over and talked to them. I'd never actually like seen a studio. Like, when I was a podcaster, I had a mic like this and a little camera, you know, that was it. So like, when I saw that there was actually like a full setup, I'm like, oh, I've never actually seen that. So I started talking to this group of people. Turns out it was a hosting provider, like one of the largest ones, and they're in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm like, what? I'm like, you all are in Jacksonville, Florida? I'm like, are there other podcasters in Jacksonville? And they're like, there's a ton of them. I'm like, no way. So I just started getting connected by reaching out. Actually, there was really no tools at that point, so I just went to LinkedIn, and I started looking for people that were Jacksonville and that were podcasters. So it was a really like aggressive search. Like, it was hard to actually find that. LinkedIn isn't really built for that. I was able to find people. I just started connecting with different podcasters, and turns out there's an actual community. And then they started doing like meetups and stuff like that for podcasters. It was like a super fun thing. So just getting connected with podcasters, some that are in the room with us right now, has been pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, shout out to JAX Podcasters Unite group. They have jaxpodcastersunite.com now, which is actually a podcast directory. So if you are in Jacksonville and you have a podcast, you can put your RSS feed up there on their site. And so that's a way to connect with other podcasters in the community. So tell me a little bit about your podcasting experience. You've been working with Create a Brand podcast, and now you have a new one. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, you know, actually, it's funny. So it's a rebrand is what it was. So like, I didn't stop the old feed. I kept the feed going. I asked people what I should do, and people said, hey, keep the old feed. I was like, all right. So I just rebranded it from Creating a Brand to now Podcasting Made Simple. So as you referenced, like, I have the different podcasting softwares. So now my focus is podcasters. So I was like, you know, I need a podcast for them instead of like an entrepreneurship podcast. So it was like a bittersweet change, but it was the right one to make. So we just rebranded the whole thing and started focusing the tops like strictly on podcasting. So like we got the hosts and the guests, and we've just done our best to really serve that audience. And I think it's really important for anyone podcasting to figure out who you're serving and really just hone in on that. So when I made that discovery, it was just time to make a change. So that's what brought us to this. But yeah, podcasting has been it's been like a wave. Like I've really enjoyed it. Thankfully, it's always been like on the way up. Like I've never, it goes up and down, but it's been really aggressively growing, and it's just great figuring out who that audience is and really honing in on that.
Yeah, when we actually work with some of our podcasts in house, the Collective Perspective was just on. That's one of the first ones that we've produced with a client, and it's all about language and tone, knowing your audience and how to connect with them, because good storytelling, you have to know who you're talking to. So why all of the .coms?
Why all the .coms? That's funny. So here's the thing. We had Podmatch, and then we had Podcast SOP, and then we had social media for all these, and we had blogs for all of them, and I hated that so much because I'm like, this needs 20 people to run. Like, this is ridiculous. But we were building the software, so we just branded everything under the name Pod Pros. So that's where we can have the education, we have the blog, all the social media can say that, and then we have Podmatch and Podcast SOP under that umbrella that's Pod Pros. So we plan on adding more softwares as well. We're working on 2 more right now. But I don't have to go out and like do more social media for it and stuff, right? Like I can actually just keep it really focused, and that was like that was huge for me. It's funny, we sat and talked about that for 6 months as a team. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, are we people making social media accounts, or are we going to be people that focus on software solutions? So that's why we came up with the parent name Pod Pros, so we could just focus in on something.
No, that actually makes a ton of sense. So can you tell podcast community what are the tools that you're building and creating for them? And then also, how can they find you?
How you can find me is really easy, podpros.com. Everything is there. The podcast is there. Everything is there. That was the idea. We have that hub. But Podmatch is the one that connects podcast guests and hosts together. So it's like very similar to like a dating app, for lack of a better term, but it's going to connect people for interviews. So if you're a podcast host, it's talking about like, I don't know, let's just say that you're talking about audio quality, right? You find somebody that's an audio expert that's a guest, and it'll automatically match those people together. And that's been really helpful. We also made that local, so you can look by zip code. So if you're looking just for somebody local, you can actually search that way and find someone who's at least in the area. And we've got 25,000 members at the time of recording this, so chances are you might not find somebody who's your next door neighbor, but you never know, right? So that's that software. And then the other side of the thing that we really realized podcasters were struggling with was actually their actual managing of like their podcast. Like managing that release is tough. Like, and if you don't have a background with project management softwares, it can be really hard to like learn all that when you're already struggling. So we built a really simple SOP software, which just stands for Standard Operating Procedures. And the idea is, can we help podcast hosts release their episodes on time and follow the different steps that they say that they like to do each time they're releasing an episode. So the idea is to make it a stress relief and just make the whole, like, streamline the whole process for them. It's done really well. We're really happy with both these softwares.
Well, thank you, Alex, for coming in today, and I hope you're enjoying the party out there. And there's a lot of people out there, and I'm actually particularly looking forward to being able to mingle a little bit more. But stay tuned. We'll be right back with Having Conversations podcast.
Oh, yo.
Is everybody here?
Yes, we here. I'm Gabby Starr.
I'm the Don. I'm Unruly D, and we are having Conversations, the podcast.
Yes. What are we supposed to say?
Can we start over?
Oh my God.
Yeah, run that back. Hey, y'all. Hey.
We didn't know. So, my bad. Cut that redo. So, I'm Gabby Starr.
I am the Don. I'm Unruly D.
And we are having Conversations, the podcast. We are 100% unfiltered podcast. We talk about adult-based themes, so it can get a little saucy, a little raunchy. Yeah, a little spicy. And we also discuss serious topics, how we got started. We have been friends for years, since high school. We go through things, we share things. So we have a group chat, of course. We talk on the phone, send voice notes. And one day we were venting, and we were just like, hey, the world needs to hear this. And here we are. Mm-hmm.
And deals. So y'all check us out.
Yes, at Having Combo on Instagram. And
YouTube,
on TikTok.
We everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere you can
YouTube.
find a podcast.
Follow us. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That's Having Conversations, the podcast.
All right.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. See you later.
Okay, that was a very quick stint with the Having Conversations podcast, ladies. Hopefully, you were informed on what their podcast was about.
That was quicker than I thought.
That was. It was definitely quicker. So I'm back with Pablo Gonzalez of B2B Community Builder Show. Be the Stage. Be the Stage. Pablo, why don't you tell the audience what you do?
I believe that community creation is the best and most sustainable way to grow businesses and do stuff. And I figured out at some point that nobody buys community on a Monday morning. Like, it's not like a Monday morning problem. But businesses all want better marketing. They want more touch points with their people. They want to provide experiences and get feedback from their clients. And if I were to design a internet talk show where businesses can like build a relationship one-to-one with people that they're trying to get really close to, invite people like a few, one to few, and build relationships with like a select group of people that they're entertaining, and then repurpose that interaction, right, like that 1 hour kind of like webinar format show into podcasts and YouTube and all these different things. It's a really efficient way to build a community around the people that you want to work with and help, while serving all these other needs that businesses want. So that's what we do. We produce these internet talk shows and other kind of strategies that have to do with relationship building and content creation, as a way for businesses to get more sales.
So, you're from Venezuela, correct?
Originally from Venezuela.
And then lived in Miami.
Lived in Miami. Yeah, I consider myself a Miamian because I am like Hispanic.
A Miamian.
Yeah, it's my city state.
Miami. Anyway, Miami. So, why Jacksonville?
Oh man, a couple of things. Number one, I like to surf, and Jacksonville is a very underrated surf place, and especially in Florida. It's like a big city that has surf is not very common. That also is affordable to live in, right? Like that's like a rare thing. Second, I was looking to prove this thesis. I was living in Miami. I had done this like community creation for business development thing. I'm from there. I knew somebody in every room I walked into, and I needed to test myself at another stage. And Jacksonville opened up as an opportunity, and it was close enough to my family and close enough to surfing and had the right opportunity. So I took a shot. I'm one of these data points of people that have moved from big cities into like a very livable, high quality of life, low cost of living, beautiful place that just keeps getting better and better. I love it here.
I mean, I have to say, we just opened up a studio downtown, and my husband's from New York City. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've lived on both sides of the coast, and even in the middle of the country. Just moved from Wichita, Kansas about a year and a half ago, and we love it. I mean, it was just we came one weekend during the pandemic and said, okay, we've never been here before, but after 3 days, we're like, sign the lease. We'll come and plant roots. And really, we came for a lifestyle, and it's been great. So we're really looking forward to, now that we're downtown, getting involved into the core urban community, and thinking through, how do we interact, right? So tell me a little bit about your experience coming. Did you have a podcast? Did you start a podcast?
No, so I am a fanatical friend maker, right? I have a podcast because I realize that it is the most powerful tool for networking that has ever existed, right? Like I don't think that there's anything more accessible to anybody that is as powerful as this to get in front of the people that you normally wouldn't have an opportunity to speak to, period, right? My experience coming here was I was super involved in Miami, Economic Development Agency of Miami, and like nonprofits and stuff like that. And I came here wanting to get involved in the city. And I came here with a startup where my move was going to be to replicate these kind of like groups that I had done in Miami here in Jacksonville and across the country, and kind of like follow that same formula. And when I got to the startup, we didn't have any funding for it. So I immediately pivoted in like 2018 to start hosting Zoom events for people. And that was kind of like my beginning of content creation. And eventually I realized this is a really, really good way to also produce a podcast, right? So as I got here and I uncovered that, I then decided to start off on my own, and I had the really good fortune that my first big client of doing this like a community play internet talk show thing is a company called JWB Real Estate Capital that has been championing the value of Jacksonville real estate for 14 years, because that's what they do. They sell turnkey rental income properties, and they're these like 4 partners that are like 37 years old. They have built this $150 million business and now have young kids. And they realize that, number one, if they want their children to come here after college and stay here after college, downtown has to work. And 2, if they make downtown work, then the property values of all of their 4,000 investments also happen to go up.
Oh, so it's win-win.
It's a super win-win. They have this like, they have the luxury to be able to align short-term and long-term goals to stuff that is really for the benefit long term of everybody. And while doing this, I've gotten just like heavily involved with like what's the future of this city, because we're talking about the content and the value of what they're providing. And I've had a really interesting viewpoint into having lived Miami's downtown kind of like renaissance, not even renaissance, just like arrival, being very involved with the economic development sector down there, and now seeing the pattern recognition of what was happening in Miami in 2003 when we had a downtown that seemingly had never gotten it together, and who the players were and what the urban activations that worked and ended up like placemaking downtown really well, while watching these dudes buy up city blocks and navigate it the exact way that I would draw it up. So it's been really cool. I'm really high on the idea that Jacksonville has been, it's been one of the fastest growing markets for the last like 10 years, right? So you combine that with this like intergenerational shift of like the old guard here that has started to age out, and people of our age are starting to have decision makings like these JWB fellas, plus the extreme dilution of people like you and me that have come from big cities and been like, oh man, this place is awesome, and big cities are awesome too, and now that we know what a good big city looks like, we can also be part of this like adolescent city that's about to happen. I just think the vibe is amazing.
You know, actually, my husband and you probably had some conversations, because he also harkens the days of New York back in the day, and he's like, I see that here, in Jacksonville. And I'm going to shout out to my friend Cindy Caldwell, who's also from Miami, and she says that Jacksonville is so accessible in comparison to Miami, and that's what she loves, is that she can go and meet city councilmen and talk to them and air her concerns, and that access is not there in big cities. So it's just been pretty amazing for her too. So yes, Cindy, thank you so much for all of your help. Anyway, shout out to Cindy. She's actually in the other room, so hopefully she gets to see this sometime. But well, anyways, I want to let you tell the audience, where do you find BeTheStage.com or
I don't have any .coms.
Oh, no .coms, Alex, no .coms.
Yeah, you can find my company at BeTheStage.live. Check out my podcast, the B2B Community Builder Show. We do a live internet talk show every single week. You can come interact, or you can listen to it on the podcast. And you know, if you look up Pablo Gonzalez on like Buzzsprout or Apple iTunes or Spotify, as Pablo Gonzalez, I've never ranked in anything, right? Because I'm like the John Smith of people that have like 6 kids. But on iTunes and Spotify, you put Pablo Gonzalez in and you find me, right? So like, that's another kind of thing, right? This audio universe that is just starting to pop, there's still some really valuable underpriced real estate if somebody can rank as Pablo Gonzalez at the top of a huge search engine that's only becoming bigger.
That's quite a point. We will be right back with our last guest, official guest, and so stay tuned.
And we're back. It is I, Jesus Vivar. We are here live at Mixed Theory Studios. We are live, right? Live at Mixed Theory Studios here in the lab. I'm here with DJ Red and Miss Diamond from Red Diamond Promotions. I reached out to DJ Red after I saw him in the podcast. It was a video podcast, and it was, remind me again the name of it, DJ Soulful House Nation with DJ Dan. It was a late night. I was out there trying to find good energy. It's the only way I can put it. And I found this interview, and Red was on there, and KGB, the other DJ, was there, and then one more other DJ, which I can't recall. Domini. So I was watching this interview, and Red was talking, and the things he was saying resonated with me, from his background to his love for house music, and just the way he is with his own natural nature. Red, tell people where you're from and what you do, and what are you doing here in Jacksonville right now?
I'm originally from Chicago. I DJ in my spare time, but DJing for about 30 years. Also produce. I actually have my own record label, and I co-work with her with Red Diamond Promotions. Just basically trying to bring house music to the community here in Jacksonville, just to give them understanding what it's all about. You know, because I know some people have their misconceptions about it, but we just want to show people what house is really about, basically.
That's awesome. And Diamond, how did you get involved with Red, or the Red Diamond Promotions, and all the house music and events?
Well, the truth of the matter is, I am engaged to Red.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Red Diamond Promotions actually started up because I had moved here from New York, and for some strange reason, we had been going to house events, and every DJ that we heard sounded like a watered down version of the one that came before. And I was like, why don't they let you play out more? And he was like, I don't know. So I went to an associate of his, and asked him, well, you have a really dope DJ in your back pocket. Why don't you put him on? And even though him and this man are the exact same age, and this man is actually a DJ, he basically told me that it was a young man's game and Herman should hang it up. I am a true New Yorker. I do not like to repeat myself, and I do not like to ask people things twice. So when I figured out that they were not going to give him a shot, I decided to make him his own platform. I had no idea what I was doing, but according to Folio 2.0, I am now the most sought after promoter here in Jacksonville, and that happened in like 2 years, and I honestly don't even know how it happened.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I got to say, you guys have done amazing events. Any upcoming events that you guys are trying to work on, or is that hush-hush? Or is there anywhere where we can kind of keep up with where you're promoting your events? Are there any social media pages or anything you want to share?
Yes, I'm actually in the works of getting an LGBTQA+ event going. We're going to be doing some pride parties. I'm going to be doing some drag shows. Shout out to all my queens. We do have some events coming up. As a matter of fact, we have one this weekend at Shantytown Pub. We also have one coming up on March 5th, which will be at Eclipse Riverside. We're going to be doing their pineapple parties, which is actually LGBTQ and what they call different lifestyles parties, basically alternative lifestyle parties. We'll be doing house music on the patio, and the rest of the party will be going on the inside. We do have another party coming up March 13th as well, at Eclipse as well. It's going to be, we call that one Lunar House.
Sunday day party.
Yes, which will be a night party this time, just because our friends from Orange Crush will be in town. And then we have a few other ones that are coming up. We have one that we're just about to start up in May called the Backyard Barbecue, which will be featuring we're giving them something different from house. It's going to be like hip-hop, R&B, funk, soul, disco. But we do have some things in the works that are coming up, as well as some things that I'm still kind of keeping kind of quiet, but I am still working on an actual house festival here in Jacksonville, because everywhere else has one, and when you have so many beaches here, why not?
Exactly right. So where can they stay up to date on your events, the Red Diamond Promotion events?
Oh my gosh, we are on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Where do you what are the pages? What are they?
So Facebook is Red Diamond Promotions. Um, TikTok is actually Red Diamond Promotions as well. We're on Twitter. I believe it's under Red Diamond Promotions as well. Um, Instagram is Diva23694, since they wouldn't let me just end with the 9.
Well, we'll definitely be sure to link all the social media links for all of our guests. I want to thank you guys for coming here and bringing that good vibe and that good soul. Red and Diamond, thank you. You guys are definitely an inspiration to our community. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining us here at Mixed Series Studios in Jacksonville, Florida. I am Jesus Vivar signing out, I believe. Yeah? Awesome.